This is part 10 of the Russia-Ukraine war. In part 9, we saw how people adapted to Soviet control. Now we move into the late 1980s when that surface stability begins to break. Economic stagnation had set in. The centralized system struggled to keep up with a changing world, and the gap between what the system promised and what it delivered became harder to ignore. Mikhail Gorbachev recognized that something had to change and began introducing reforms meant to open the system slightly. More transparency, more flexibility, a loosening of control that in theory would strengthen the system by making it more responsive. But systems built on control do not always respond well to being loosened. As restrictions eased, long-suppressed frustrations surfaced, not just in Russia, but across the Soviet republics. Economic problems became more visible. Political dissent became harder to contain. Republics that had been held together by central authority began to reconsider that arrangement. In August of 1991, a group of hardline Soviet officials attempted a coup, trying to seize control and reverse Gorbachev's reforms, a last effort to restore the kind of centralized authority that had defined the system for decades. The coup failed, but the failure did not restore stability. It accelerated the collapse. It made clear that the center no longer had full control, and once that perception takes hold, it becomes difficult to reverse. In the months that followed, the Soviet republics moved quickly. Leaders in places like Ukraine, Russia, and others declared independence or sovereignty, not in isolation, but in a kind of chain reaction, as each decision made the next one more likely. Even within Russia, under Boris Yeltsin, there was a shift away from preserving the Soviet structure and toward building something new. By December of 1991, the Soviet Union formally dissolved. Follow along because in part 11, we go over the formal collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine's independence, and the beginning of its westward shift.